I like to party.
All right, what's up, guys? Hey, today we're gonna answer the most common question that I get asked, that the team gets asked, that we get asked. All right, and what is that question? That question is, where do you buy your watches? Right? Everybody asks me this question, and I think the reason why everyone asks me this question is because there's like this stigma in our industry that you can't get watches, right? Like this unknown part of it. Like, how come I can't get a watch? Like, people, like, there are people that think they can't get watches. We get emails, we get phone calls. Well, I heard you can't get a watch. Like, how do I get a watch? You know, and that's what they think. And I understand why people would think that. I do. However, that's not the case at all. And, you know, there really aren't a lot of guys or a lot of companies like us, you know, throughout the world. You know, watch dealers, we're technically jewelers. Like, there isn't a lot of us, that's for sure. However, we are the people that can get you watches. And you got to have a guy is really what it comes down to. So the truth of the matter is we could get you any watch you want. And most watch dealers can get you any watch that you want. What I say is I get you anything you want under $1 million same day. And, you know, 9 times out of 10, that's the truth. Occasionally we'll find some outliers, you know, that we can't find. Maybe some vintage stuff. However, you got to know a guy. And since people now have guys or know guys like myself or know me or work with me, or us, I should say, they ask, well, where do you get them? Right? And I don't think people that ask that question realize how rude it is, right? That's like me saying, well, what did you make last year? You'd be like, it's none of your business. Well, it's the same thing when it comes to this question. It's none of your business. However, I also see the other side of it. Like, oh, people are interested. Like, how does this actually work? Right? Where do they actually get the watches? Because I didn't think you could get them. And listen, I don't pass judgment if someone asks. It just could be construed as very rude by many people. And it is construed by many people as rude. I don't care. I'm just like, man, I'm asked this question all the time, and I get it. There's this big allure to, like, where do they get these watches? Are they real? You know, because that's the big thing. Are they real? Well, some of them are, some of them aren't. And that's the sad truth. So let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Where do I get watches? Well, let's talk about where we don't get watches. First and foremost, all right? Just going to be transparent, guys. We do not get watches on 47th Street. I don't think everyone on 47th Street is bad, and that is not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying we do not source from 47th Street. I have seen a lot from 47th Street, and there's typically a big problem or a small problem. And I don't know if anyone down there understands the concept of customer service. So we don't get anything from 47th Street. You are more than welcome to get something from 47th Street. We just don't do it. You know, there are some very popular influencers in the industry down there. And shout out to them for doing it big. I'm just saying that we personally don't source from 47th Street. So where do we source our watches from? Well, there's an old saying in business that relationships are worth their weight in gold. Over the years of doing this, we started in 2017. I have been fortunate enough to build and not build relationships in our industry. I have worked with people that I have done millions of dollars of business with that I will no longer work with. And that's very common in our industry. People come and go. But there are also people in our industry that I wouldn't even blink and have any distrust with sending them a wire for 6 figures because we have that relationship. When you build relationships in business, you build trust. And we have built relationships with wholesalers, with vendors, and they're good. They're good wholesalers and they're good vendors and they're, people of their word, and they typically do what they say they're going to do. Yeah, they make mistakes, but we all make mistakes. But we have built relationships with really good vendors, really good wholesalers. Most of them are here in the States. They're located in the States. And most wholesalers don't work with retail clients. They work with retailers. Wholesalers really don't have the patience to work with a retail client, which, by the way, is also one of the reasons why Rolex doesn't sell to people in the store often, because retail clients, and I'm not complaining, just retail clients in our industry are just very picky. They want what they want. So a lot of people can't deal with that. We can. We understand. I'm picky too. So we have great relationships with vendors. We have great relationships with wholesalers. I also have some relationships in Asia. I don't typically enjoy bringing watches in from Asia. However, there are a lot of watches in Asia. Why? Asia is, specifically Eastern Asia, is the biggest consumer of luxury goods in the world. Rolex, Audemars Piguet, Patek, Richard Mille, Bentley, Lamborghini, Rolls-Royce, blah, 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 blah. So they get the cream of the crop. They get the most allocations of everything, secondarily the United States and or Europe typically. But there are a lot of Rolexes and APs in Asia, the Philippines, China, Hong Kong, and, if Japan as well, by the way, if there's a watch there and one of our vendors has it, yes, it's typically a little bit cheaper. However, it takes a while to get into the country, 2, 3, 4 days, depending on the situation. And you got to be careful of customs. You got to do the customs right? You don't want to shortchange anyone. And customs will hold your stuff up. FedEx will hold your stuff up. And it just takes a while. It's just not ideal. But we have specific vendors that we work with, that we trust, that a lot of times they don't even ask us to pay when we put an order in. They just send the watch out and I pay, when it gets here or a day or two later. And that's how it works. Like, retailers have vendors. We have relationships with wholesalers. The retail client is not going to get that connection no matter what. It's just never going to happen. You have to work with the retailer, like us. Or you can shop on Kernel 24 or something like that, which we're on, and all of us are, and you're working with retailers anyways. So that's the answer to the question. Now, the follow-up question is, how do I know it's real? Well, that's the relationship that you need, right? You need to work with a retailer that's good, that's thorough, that has systems and processes on how to go through a watch to make sure it's real, that will put their name on it, that will put a warranty on it, that will appraise it for you. The best thing you could do is build a relationship with a retailer, with a dealer, like ourselves or one of our colleagues, and just work with that person. Yes, they might be a little bit more expensive. However, you get what you pay for. And we've had clients that work with us and then work with someone else because they're a little bit cheaper, but they don't realize that the people that are cheaper a lot of times might not even look at the watch once it hits your wrists. Like, it's just drop shipped straight to the customer. You don't know if it's real. You don't know if there's Frankenstein parts on it. And I'm not saying that's the case, but cheaper typically means a higher volume model, which typically means less product control. When there's less product control, there's more room for error. This is just basics of business, right? So establishing a good relationship with a retailer, establishing a relationship with a dealer that you trust, establishing a relationship will pay dividends long-term for everybody. Because the retailer is going to be like, oh, hey, this guy is an electrician. Let me refer him everybody that needs an electrician. And on the other hand, he's like, hey, I got a guy. You need a watch? I got a guy. And that's how relationships work. You take care of one another, right? And that's where you want to get your watches from. You want to get your watch from someone that you trust, someone that will be good to you, even if they're a little bit more expensive, because they have good relationships with good vendors. And the retail client will never get the vendors because they're wholesalers. They don't have the patience, for lack of better terms, to work with the retail client. So yeah, that's where we get our watches. I'd say 8 times out of 10. Occasionally we'll get an order for a watch, or we'll buy a watch from someone that we don't know. And then maybe it turns into a good relationship. And maybe it doesn't. Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Let me know if you liked this. Let me know if you found any value in this. If you guys have any follow-up questions, if there's anything I didn't cover, if there's anything more you want to know, if there's similar content that you want to see, please let me know. Help me help you. We do this for you guys, and your feedback is vitally important. So I hope you found some value in this. If you did, make sure you like this, share it with your friends, subscribe, and catch you next time. Peace.